Hi everyone, welcome to my ranking of the Mission Impossible films. So this is the one that is kind of a bit long overdue. I saw Fallout maybe a couple of weeks ago now, finished that, and I of course went on a rewatch very recently of all these films. I'd seen them all before, at least once. And yes, this is my ranking. I should have done it. I just kind of forgot, to be honest, and I didn't really need to decide because I'd already decided back then. But when I saw Fallout, pretty much the ordering. So this is the ranking of all six of them, from least favourite to favourite, and worst to best as well. Now this ranking is maybe going to be a bit different, but as always, it's just my ranking. And yeah, leave your ranking in the comments maybe if you want to, and just discuss. Mission Impossible, one of my favourite franchises, and let's just get straight into it. Now, number 6 is not a massively popular one, but for me it's by far the worst. And I never really got into it much at the time, too much. And on this rewatch, it's very much just an average film, and very, very just almost not alike actually. And that is Mission Impossible 3. J.J. Abrams, with The Force Awakens, he done a masterful job. I think that's an absolute masterpiece, that film, for me personally. With this film, it's his first film really, his debut film, feature film. I didn't care for the direction too much at all. I think really this is the most forgettable Mission Impossible film. I feel that the action is very much generic, and there's maybe one I really liked one scene, where they're doing the kind of with Philip Seymour Hoffman, and they're all involved and they're kind of doing the face swap thing in the bathroom. That was a great scene. It has loads of tension, humour. Shame the rest of the film wasn't like that. It kind of it attempted to portray him in a more human way. Ethan Hunt, and it kind of failed for me because it was the most, in a bad way, melodramatic of the franchise. It was basically dulled down his character instead of making him more human and more compelling. And I love the fact that he's an action hero, and it doesn't need to be like this, but actually it's been proven, which I'll get to some of the later ones, where you can kind of balance that out. But yes, this one, it's got a lot of the shaky cam that I detest in modern cinema, unfortunately. And it's not, just in the action, which kind of takes away from it, unfortunately. It is also in the drama scenes, and there's one bit where you actually can't even see, Philip Seymour Hoffman, given his great performance. And it kind of just moves up as if someone's just fallen back, and there's not quite got that in there. I mean, it's just ridiculous. I think personally, ridiculous what happened here, but it has got some redeeming factors. Ethan Hunt and Luther are great together, great banter and everything like that. And it's got some solid moments, and overall, it's not an awful film. I think it's very much average, but really, it's the most blandest, forgettable, and least sure of itself in the franchise for me. The one that the only one I don't really look forward to watching again. But yeah, that's just me. And now next at number 5 is the least popular film easily in the franchise. Now these films, all onwards, are ones that I love, and that includes Mission Impossible 2 at number 5. Now, John Woo gets a lot of hate. Face Off as well. I think that's thoroughly enjoyable. This film, it's said to be the worst in the franchise. The most cheesy, generic, with the worst action. Not for me. Much better action than 3. This is the one that I watched the most as a kid, and I loved it, and I still love it. I think it's a generally great film. That's just me. I feel it's a great film. Very much an emotional undercurrent to the story. It has got its cheesy moments, but its campiness, but it kind of mainly just adds to the enjoyability of this film. I feel that John Woo fully commits to his style, with this film, and the soundtrack by Hans Zimmer is easily for me the best of the franchise. Especially the track Injection, that is wonderful. This film is just full of energy in every frame. Yes, the bits like the climbing are campy, but I love them scenes. I think Dougray Scott is a great villain. I think all the characters are great, most of them, and Ving Rhames is really good in this one again. The action I think is mostly great. There's a couple moments where the slow motion stuff goes a bit too far, But really, it's actually quite spectacular visually, and it's the one that I got fully invested with. Yes, it's a bit more childlike and stuff, and it's not exactly the most sophisticated of storytelling, but it's actually as a piece of entertainment, and as an action film, it's crafted. It's got the heart at such a high level that I think it's a great film. And Tom Cruise, once again, very enjoyable. It's, as I say, a bit more campy, but still, very very memorable in this film. I think he's got the best hair that is in the franchise. I always think about that, the hair in this, and I think one of the most underrated films of all time for me. So yeah, Mission Impossible 2. Now, at number 4 is Mission Impossible 1, the first one. Now this film, I didn't quite, get fully invested as a kid. I did really like certain moments, which I won't ruin. The kind of reveals and everything, and the kind of a lot of the action, of course, as well. Now this is much more of a thriller, and actually, this is my favourite films list once again, and just because it's number 4 does not mean I don't love it. I adore this film. It's very much more of a thriller than an action film, and the plot, of course, is very complex. Now, a lot of people, of course, get put off by that, and I think that it is very complex. You've got to listen in, but it's very very rewarding, highly compelling plot, and it's got great characters. John Voight in this film is stunning, and this film, it's just from start to finish a film that I absolutely adore. I love the charm it has, the kind of the energy it has, the patience as well, of course, and you need to be patient when watching this, and the action that is there is great, no doubt, and I love the way that the arc, the film progresses. The arc of Ethan Hunt, and so many epic moments in this film. Ving Rhames' introduction is great, and of course that scene. That kind of that scene in the centerpiece of the film is masterful. Now, Brian De Palma is one of my favorite directors from what I've seen of him, and this film is no less than a masterpiece. Really quite a flawless film. And I just loved it from start to finish. So yeah, at number 4. Now, at number 3, is a film that most people would put at number 1 or number 2, and that is Mission Impossible Ghost Protocol. Now, another masterpiece. I think this one really has the most kind of childlike innocence and also upbeat feel of the franchise. The next 2 that I'll be talking about are very much much more darker in tone. This one has got a very very light tone, but it's not a film that that kind of isn't got emotional moments and moments and characters you don't care for. No, definitely not. It's just very much a more energetic, upbeat film, and Brad Bird he reinvented the franchise really, and from start to finish, this is perfection. I think the set pieces are absolutely thrilling, and just the way this team, really for the first time, you could say that they were a team in the film, and just the way that the charm of that, the enjoyment of them being together. Simon Pegg has a much bigger role in the film. Of course, Ving Rhames is only really reduced to a cameo, but luckily, you've got Jeremy Renner taking his place in that sense, and the dynamics of the group is just stunning. The set pieces are wonderful, the storyline very much engaging here, and it's just one of the greatest action films of the century, just like the other 2 next ones will be. And I just think it's perfect. I absolutely love this film, and I just loved everything about it, and understand if it's some people's favourite. It just really is exhilarating film, full of charm, and great humour in the film, of course, very much more of a comedy one, and as I say, upbeat, and it's just kind of brings everything that Mission Impossible is into one and perfects it, the formula. The first one to really do that as we know it. Of course, the first one was more its own thing, and that's great. But this one was the one that, action franchise kind of was the first one to perfect that formula, which we'll probably be seeing, as bare bones throughout the rest of the franchise. Even these next two have kind of the way they mix the action and the humanity and everything like that, and the kind of physicality of it. The the way that the set pieces are kind of designed. I think going forward, this is the one that kind of changed everything the most. And one was a masterpiece. Two was a bit it was worse, and then three was a lot worse. And this one just brought it back to the level of one, and I think it's better than one. And number three. Now you'd be wondering you might be wondering what I think of the next two. The Order, and of course, same director, and what a job he done. Absolutely stunning, and just masterful director. And at number two is Mission Impossible: Rogue Nation. Now, this film is again perfect. Now, I think the first time I saw it as well, I got a crap cinema experience, and went back and watched it properly, on Blu-ray, and was just stunned once again. But even more so this time, I think Tom Cruise, what they've done with his character, they actually successfully brought that humanity to his character, and I think they kind of allowed that to happen, but also he's still thoroughly enjoyable as an action hero, and the action for me tops Ghost Protocol. I think the physicality of it, the way it's directed, the editing is so good, and how dark this film is, but also it's got great comedy. And another thing to note is, of course, the way that the characters come together once again. You've not only got Luther, played by Ving Rhames, but you've also got Jeremy Renner. You've also got Simon Pegg, Rebecca Ferguson as Faust, and she is just one of the things that makes this film. What a complex character, and her relationship with Ethan Hunt, played by Tom Cruise. It's just so compelling, and I absolutely loved this romance. And as well, I just loved just the way that this film builds and builds. The final act is not quite as mind blowing as the rest of the film, but it's still stunning. Alec Baldwin was a great addition to the franchise here. Love Alec Baldwin in this film, and in of course Fallout, and I just think there's no flaws for me, and it really just is an absolute masterpiece. The way it blends the action and the thriller aspects, the way that this film is directed, is just masterful to a mind blowing degree. And the editing, the score to the film as well is wonderful, and it's just an amazing film. I loved everything about it, and it's an operatic film, more so than Ghost Protocol was. And that's what I feel. The style of this film is wonderful, and it's got of course it's got once again maybe a bit more of a complex plot if you think that, but the way the syndicate comes into it, I think is really so compelling, and it's just got a great villain, played by Sean Harris. He is masterful in this film, and of course he's in Fallout as well, and we'll get to that. And let's just get to that now. Of course, number one, as masterful as Rogue Nation was, of course, as masterful as Ghost Protocol was, and the first one, Mission Impossible Fallout is my number one pick, and it's actually by quite a lot. I think this film, really is a monumental action film. It's massively acclaimed, and I saw it a couple of weeks ago. This film at the cinema. I was thinking, is it going to top Rogue Nation or Ghost Protocol even? It's going to be hard, and I think the first 45 minutes it was pretty much on the level, if not slightly better than the other two. And then after that, it just builds and builds, and it just becomes something that is, one of the finest action films of all time, and absolutely the best for me. It's the one even more so than the others is a human action film. And then of course you've got additions like Henry Cavill, who is actually for once amazing in a film for me, and really loved him in the film. Very complex character. And the villain, of course, even better in this film as well. Michelle Monaghan, she comes back and she's actually really good in the film. Her character, the writing is something else, and just this film is absolutely stunning. I think everything about it is perfect. Direction is flawless, and just the way that every act builds and builds, and the action scenes, the set pieces, are so masterfully crafted, and they blend in those character moments. And in this film, the team very much is an actual team of humans. They really are at their best. Everyone in the film, Luther is the best he's ever been as a character, and it's the most emotional Mission Impossible, the most thrilling in terms of its set pieces. They are mind blowing. The last 30 minutes really set piece. What a sustained kind of action set piece that is full of emotion. It blends everything you want from a film really into that action. The stakes as well, they're so high. The tension and the relief of tension as these kind of small moments happen throughout this massive set piece, and then the way it climaxes, it's just stunning. I think the cinematography is definitely at its best. Visual storytelling, such a masterful degree, and just absolutely stunning. I think the direction is perfect. The performances are at the best in this film, and just really it portrays this nuclear nuclear kind of plot, which has been seen in loads and loads of films, and it's never usually that important. It kind of just it's there in the background. Even some of the Bond films, it's not you never really. Well, some of the films you do, but some films, like Moonraker and stuff, you never really fully feel this threat as if it's actually going to happen. In this film, you do, for me anyway. The plutonium cores, the way they're portrayed even at the beginning, and stuff. It's through the cinematography, of course, and it's just the exposition. It's so good that it actually feels like it's going to happen. And you care for these characters so much. And the fact that they're developed even further at such a level that it just makes for me easily the best Mission Impossible film, and just an absolute masterpiece, and of course, it'd be very hard for the series to top this one, in the future, but hopefully it can. Hopefully it can live up to this, and but this really does live up to what the praise it's getting, if not more, and if you've not seen it, highly recommend it. Check out my individual reviews for these films. I'll leave that in the description, a link to that playlist, and yeah, I love all of them apart from 3, which I kind of like. But yes, Mission Impossible is a legendary franchise, and this set, I watched it on this, the first 5. I'd recommend that, of course. They're all great films for me in this set, and apart from 3, of course, and yeah, stunning franchise, and that's my ranking, my personal ranking, of course, and kind of the franchise overall, of course, for me, it took a dip gradually from the first one. Then it picked itself up with 4, and it just got progressively better. I think it's just really a testament to that, to the as well, the direction and stuff in the later ones. And it's just the fact that that's great that the franchise on its 6th film is, for me, at its best, and yeah, absolutely mind blowing. So yeah, it was great to rewatch the films as well, and yeah, tell me your ranking in the comments, and yeah, just get some discussions going. Of course, be respectful in the comments as always. Had a couple of comments, I will say, recently, not from my main subscribers, but a couple of other ones I would like to say, they're not being respectful, and I've had to delete over the past couple of weeks 1 or 2 comments, because I always say don't be disrespectful and hate in the comments and say offensive stuff. Unfortunately, there has been. You'll know if you've ever done this who you are, but of course my main subscribers, nothing there at all, and I've always respectful comments, so thank you for that. But just another note, quick note, if I see any comments, that are offensive or hateful in any way, there's no point putting them on there because they will be deleted. So yeah, but thanks for watching my ranking of the Mission Impossible films, and yeah, absolutely loved doing the series, and yeah, probably be rewatching them again, in a couple of months or something. So yeah, there's my ranking. Thanks for watching.